I got an opportunity for my first management role. And that was kind of that make or break situation where I'm like, oh my God, I'm only 6 years into my career. Do I really want to go into management? And, after conversations with myself, with family, and so on, I was like, all right, let's do this. Why not take the chance? If I don't like it, I can always do something else. And that was it for me. I kind of loved management, even though it comes with a variety of other challenges, but really loved it. And, that's been my career, leading and building teams for different corporations.
In this episode of the Creative Debrief, I sit down with Mark Blackman, who is a VP of Creative Services, and he talks about how he became a designer, what he loves about it, what he loves about creative leadership, and he gives some great advice to designers or other creatives who may be struggling in their careers. All right, everybody, I'm here with Mark Blackman. Mark, why don't you go ahead and tell us about yourself?
Hi, Emily. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So I'm a graphic designer. I studied graphic design at American University a long time ago. I knew what I wanted to do when I was in school. Probably in middle school or high school, I was always kind of creative and crafty and really enjoyed the art classes and just kind of learning about color and kind of how to make things. So from there, I just knew what I wanted to do. And when I chose a college, I didn't really want a straight art college like RISD or Parsons or something like that. I mean, I applied there, but I wanted to get the business side as well because I knew at some point either I wanted to manage a department or own my own business or something. So just kind of the direction I went in, and happy I did it because I got a great degree at American. I did a bunch of internships during school and during the summers, which was really great to kind of learn how to do different things, as a newbie in the design industry.
Very cool. And so now you are fully into your career as a creative leader. Can you tell us a little bit about where that transition happened and what you did to get there? What were some of the things that helped that happen for you?
I was working, let's see, I had two jobs right out of school, small mom and pop creative shop for about a year, which was really cool to sort of dive into design at the early stages with a very kind of family feel. I mean, it was a father and mother and their son actually that were running the company. So that was kind of neat to be part of that. And after that, I kind of went the opposite. I moved from that company to Fidelity Investments, where I was, one of 50 designers on a staff on their internal agency, and really vast differences, but cool as well, like learning, how to work at a large corporation. I worked there for 3 or 4 years as a designer, senior designer, and then I got an opportunity for my first management role, which was at Coopers and Lybrand, the accounting firm. And it was going to be managing their creative team in the Boston office. And that was kind of that make or break situation where I'm like, oh my God, I'm only 6 years into my career. Do I really want to go into management? And, after conversations with myself, with family, and so on, I was like, all right, let's do this. Why not take the chance? If I don't like it, I can always do something else. And that was it for me. I kind of loved management, even though it comes with a variety of other challenges with managing people and upward management and so on, but really loved it. And, that's been my career, leading and building teams for different corporations 30 plus years later.
Wow. So it really did happen pretty early on for you. I know for
It
me,
was.
yeah, for me personally, I was like a late adopter, late arrival, or what? I can't say the right word. A late arriver.
Late bloomer.
There we go, late bloomer. And part of it was because I didn't have any of those opportunities early on to kind of realize, oh, hey, I might actually be good at this. So I think it's great
Mm.
whenever you can get in early on and have an experience with a large team where there are more opportunities, especially if you think you're interested. So it sounds like so you started early and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this. What were some of the challenges that you had being younger when you moved into creative
Yeah.
movement?
I think the biggest challenge for me in my own head was, okay, I'm going to be managing, so I won't be designing as much anymore, which was my love. And I was lucky enough to be able to do both, here and there. It wasn't 50-50. It just varied depending on the projects, whether I could step in and help with design or whether I was truly just managing the chaos basically and the project load and scheduling. The thing that I did like about it was I was still getting to review the creative, have an input on which photography or layout or whatever. And at that time, we were still printing things. So, the digital age hadn't taken hold yet. And I was still going to printers and sort of getting that experience as well, looking at press sheets and, finding things on the press sheet. So it still gave me that way to dabble, with creative and making my mark on the work. So I think that's where my balance was. I did struggle with it a little bit in seeing sort of all the creative being produced. And yeah, I could take credit for it, but not like true design credit, just more like helping move it along and sort of craft the messaging and the visuals and so on.
Right. You become more of a facilitator than a doer.
Yeah, yeah. But that's it. Knowing that's still a super important role because I was helping get it from start to finish. And, I was also really, to pat myself on the back a little, I was great at it. I was great at scheduling and being a designer and knowing how long things take also was the benefit that I could tell the designers like, all right, we've got 6 weeks to get this done. Here's how much time we have for design, how much we have for editing and proofreading, and then the production. So kind of having that experience, from my school days of just understanding how long things take really, I think, benefited myself and the teams that I, managed.
How did you stay, since you moved into leadership at an earlier stage in your career, how did you stay connected to the work after that? And, because you do have to kind of maintain an awareness of the work once you stop becoming an individual contributor and start when you move into leadership.
You mean to stay like fresh on design and so on?
Yeah, and sometimes I think you have to, in order to understand how long something takes, you have to almost have real world experience. And I know you lean on your experts for some of that kind of
Mhm.
insight for sure, like especially data. But I think whenever we're talking about, you have to understand the challenges of certain aspects of the work. And
Sure.
everybody has a different way to stay on top of that. So I was just curious what you did.
Yeah, I mean, I think to stay fresh with design from that side of it, I tried to do things externally, like brush myself up on, design trends and what was happening at that time in the industry, participate in like AIGA events or other networking events like through Adweek or things like that. I even went so far as to like bring in experts, like bring in people from advertising agencies or other, colleagues or friends and contacts that I had that could help me and the teams to, just learn more about what's happening. When you're working for a corporation and it's that brand, you can get a little stale. And by bringing in people in the advertising industry, which is the total opposite, it's fresh, it's innovative, you know, it's trendy. You want your designs to kind of follow that. So that was how I tried to, keep myself and my teams up on what was happening so that we didn't get stale and we were creating the best that we could create. I mean, from a production standpoint, I think being at printers and, other vendors really helped me to learn and ask questions and understand like what's changing, with photography going towards digital photography, what's changing in the printing industry where it's direct to plate now. So the digital world kind of definitely was a changing point, in my career as well of how things get produced and the time frames that it takes to get done.
Yeah, so you said that you've been working for 30 plus years, so you have seen a ton of change
Yeah.
in your career. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about maybe like what your perspective on all of the change that you've seen has been.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I learned design at school, there were no Macs. There was no computer lab. We did everything the old way. So, I took art history and I took, classes on how to design using, cut paper and Ruby Lith and using a stat camera, which none of the younger people are going to totally understand when they watch this video because they're going to wonder what all that is. But I have to say that I really valued the way I learned design, you know, meshing paper colors together and inlaying, paper together. It just really taught me differently than the design of today. I'm not saying today is bad. It's faster, it's easier, but I feel like there is a bit of a loss in design theory and what it took to be a creative. And it's funny because I think 2 years into my student career at school, sophomore, junior year, the professors and advisors were asking us, like, we're going to build a Mac lab. When should we introduce it to students? Should we do it freshman year or should we wait? And my recommendation, I said, I think you should wait. I would wait at least 2 years minimum, maybe into junior year to introduce computers. I would teach them the old way because I really got a different perspective from that. And I think it taught me a different way of looking at and reviewing creative.
I just kind of like got excited when you told that story because the school that I attended, the beautiful University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, we had 2 years of foundation work
Mm-hmm.
and before we started working with computers, and I completely agree with that approach. I think that you get this foundation of knowledge that helps inform how you approach the problems that you have to solve, the visual problems.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people complained at the amount of squares that you had to cut by hand, and you're
Sure.
allowed to use ruler and all that kind of stuff to measure. So you're using your eyeballs for everything, and I'm like, man, if we skip that step, just think of how your eyes haven't been trained to do this stuff that I think is really important to the process. And like we skip thumbnail stages and processes now and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I do think that that is really common. So I think it's really important to remember or think about, if you don't have it, that part of
Yeah.
the
I mean, if
process.
I feel like the benefits were it's very tactile, right? I got to touch design. I got to rub letters down in a cookbook that I created myself and, draw the pictures of the recipes and stuff like that. Now, again, today, yeah, you can create some amazing graphics with Illustrator and Photoshop and so many other programs. And I think that's incredible too. And the people that are doing it are super talented. I just feel like there's that gap, but it's probably progress. It's definitely progress. I mean, the way AI is and everything else today, no one's going to go back and learn the old way. I have a place in my heart for it just because of the way that it taught me. And I still have projects that are somewhere in a file, of things that I did when I was in school because I'm just proud of them. And I'd like to look at them every once in a while and kind of remember, where I came from.
That's awesome.
Thanks.